Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome once again to the Paranormal Portal. These are the night terrors, folks. These are the 1 hour shows, roughly, where we discuss some form of paranormal phenomena or another. Tonight, again, we're going to be discussing the cryptids because I still got a lot of cryptid stuff to get through, and it's going to be a good one. We got some more of Lon Strickler's Phantoms and Monsters articles to get through regarding some claims and sightings that have been happening, and I'm excited to bring those to you, as well as we're going to get towards the end of the show. Don't forget, we'll be doing the Trail Cam Terrors, and this will be tonight's feature on the Trail Cam Terrors is a video from a caller from last night. Thomas K called into the show, and he talked about seeing an orb and seeing UFOs at the lot where he's a security guard. Well, he did forward to us his YouTube page, and we're going to feature one of his orb videos that he has out there, and it's going to be good. Some of you might have already seen it when he made the link last night, but we'll go over it tonight as a show so you guys can see that. But I'm not here alone, folks. I got my firstborn, the first branch on the family tree is right here with me. And this, of course, is my firstborn, Mr. Sheldon Thomas. How you doing?
Good, doing well. Hope everyone out there's staying warm. It's staying actually relatively nice here in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's been warm here, too. It's been like in the 50s, so I can't complain. It's even this morning, walking the minion to the school bus, we weren't even seeing our own breath. So it was a good step. It was a good step.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my kind of winter. This is my kind of winter, folks. I don't know how long it'll hold on, but as long as there's, and actually we had like 6 inches of snow, but now there's down to grass again. So it's kind of feeling like spring, even though I'm lying to myself. I'm living in denial, folks, but I'm happy there. So leave me be. Don't pick on me. Don't judge me. So, we got a lot of show to get through here tonight. As always, folks, the phone lines are open if you want to call in and share some of your own experiences. I'd love to hear from you. We had a couple of great calls, several great calls last night. And so, by all means, keep that momentum going. We'd love to hear from you guys. Don't think you need to come up with a reason. If you've had something weird happen and you want to talk about it, we're here just waiting for you. But the number to call in is also pinned on the YouTube chat. I pinned it to the top of the chat board there, so you can see it at any time you want, or just look above my head. It's right up here, right above my head, under the words Paranormal Portal on your screen. So, doing my best to canvass the place with the number, so you can't claim to not know how to call in, because there it is. So. All right, folks. Let's see. What else am I trying to think of here? Anything else? No, I guess that's it. That's all I got in the front end. Sheldon, did you have anything else?
No, I think that about covers everything.
Okay. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I hope you're ready because it's time for bed. All right, folks, that's it. We are officially underway here on the Paranormal Portal, and as such, we got some paranormal goodness to get through. I hope you guys are ready. Again, we're going to be covering the cryptids tonight. For any of you that are not familiar with the term, which, I don't know who that would be, but if anybody listening is like, what the hell is a cryptid? Well, a cryptid is a term that is derived from the term cryptozoology, and it basically means creatures, beings, animals, whatever, that are believed to be out there by segments of the population, but have yet to be officially recognized and documented by science as we know it. So these are creatures called cryptids, and this includes Bigfoot, Dogman, Mothman, and the Loch Ness Monster, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to talk about some of those tonight. Sheldon, you believe in cryptids, right?
100%.
100%, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're looking at, to me, the reason why I think it's important to be able to articulate why you believe something. And although for me it's a feeling like there's no I haven't seen it myself, like as far as Bigfoot, Dogman, black-eyed children, all of the other cryptids, but from the amount of stories out there and links between them, I would say at the very least there's a strong possibility.
Sure.
Like at the very least.
Absolutely. And sometimes it gets to be kind of a gray area to understand whether something is a physical being or if it's a spiritual being or if it's something else somewhere in between, like a being that doesn't necessarily reside on this plane of existence all the time. It can visit, can pop in and out, as far as those are referred to often as multi-dimensional beings, and it's hard to know what these things are because many people have like observed Bigfoot disappear right in front of their face, like just kind of like fade out. There are people that have seen similar things from the Dogman. There's videos out there that would seem to be showing a Dogman or something of the like, but it looks like it's not really manifested on this realm, like it's a ghost-like figure, but it looks like a Dogman. And of course, I'm referring to a video that was made very famous by Dark Waters, but it was from somebody's Facebook live feed where I think they were down in Mississippi or somewhere, or maybe Louisiana or whatever, and I could be wrong. Could be like Indiana or something. I can't remember exactly where, but the guy's in his house and he's got the Facebook live going. He's talking about some weird stuff that he heard behind his house and has seen things and not really sure what's going on, but was plenty freaked out. And then he opens the back door with his smartphone. And he's filming out into the yard, and out in the yard at the edge of the yard is like a light pole with a telephone pole and a light pole on that. And as he's filming it, here comes this, what looks like about a 9-foot ghostly Dogman walking by. And it's really intense. It's really creepy. And it really makes you wonder what the hell's going on here. I don't know, and I don't pretend to know. I do tend to believe the video is legit because, as I understand it, it was broadcast live on Facebook Live with a smartphone. So it's not like the guy, did some After Effects or some, CGI work and then uploaded a video. This was being broadcast live as it was happening. So I don't know. Is it just the luck of a weird draft with some fog in it and just happened to hit the right combination of those two to create something that looked like a Dogman? I don't know, but it's really creepy. I mean, to the point where you can actually see the legs walking, so I don't think you've probably seen that, have you, Sheldon?
I've seen that one. Yeah,
you did. Okay, so you know the one I'm talking about. But
I do.
That's kind of where it gets a little hard to understand what these quote unquote cryptids are, like, because sometimes they seem like there's something not of this world, and other times they just seem like some undiscovered natural part of the world, like in the case of a Bigfoot, some potentially some form of primate that's unrecognized, or a hominid that somehow survived their extinction or whatever and still remains out on the fringes of the world. But I don't know. But first off, I thought we'd get to an article from the Utah Statesman. And let me see if there's a date on this. When was the date? It's, where the hell's my mouse? There it is. So it's from October 22nd of this year. But it's coming from the Utah Statesman. And I don't know. I assume it's a regular online news source. But it says Bigfoot sightings spike in northern Utah. And Utah has always been one of those hot spots for Bigfoot sightings. But there again, there's not really a place that isn't. It ran across the yard really fast, way too fast for fog. Yeah, I agree, Android. I perfectly agree that there's something. It seems that video was very legitimate, but you're right. It did seem to move really fast, and it was really creepy. I'll have to see if we can get permission to show that full video, or at least to do it in such a way as I don't want to stomp on anybody's copyrights. That's always something I'm very tentative about with showing evidence and video stuff like that. But I'll look into it and see if we can show it. I think we did show it on the show already once, as I recall. Did we show
You know, I think so. Either that or we just shared the link. I can't remember which one we actually
Right.
did.
Yeah, it's hard to remember too. What were you going to say though?
It's a thought I've been having lately, actually, the past few days. Do you think there? Not really. Do you think? But are there stories that you've read and listened to, whatever the case may be, that people are getting cryptids mixed up, where they think it's a Sasquatch, but to you, knowing the stories of Sasquatch, and Dogman and whatnot, are there stories where they think it's a Sasquatch, for instance, but from the signs of the story, you think it's actually Dogman?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's really hard to differentiate just behaviorally between a dogman and a Bigfoot because there's a lot of things that are very similar between the two. I think most commonly, I usually think that when it comes to terms of the physical descriptions. Now, there's some people that believe that there's like several types or body types of Bigfoot out there that would seem to indicate closely related groups that are not quite the same thing. And there's some people saying there's up to like 4 of them. And one of those types is supposed to look more like a baboon in having the elongated snout. Some people refer to those as the Genasqua and several other names like that, but they're considered by some that believe in this to be a very aggressive, like sharp-toothed form of Bigfoot, whereas most Bigfoot reports are like, very chiclet-like teeth. They're very squared off. But in the reports where people are seeing the more baboon type, I often wonder if they could be seeing a dogman. And I know when we had Vic Cundiff on, he kind of alluded to the same thing, like, well, the type whatever Bigfoot is actually a dogman. It's not a Bigfoot at all. And he could be right. I don't know. But that's one of those areas where it seems like it could be one or the other. I don't know. But there is a picture, and I think it's called the Beast of Seven Shoots that somebody took that actually seems to show one of these. Let me see if I can find it since I mentioned it, and we'll talk a little bit about that since we're on the discussion. Let me see, Beast of Seven Shoots. I hope I spelled that right.
While you're looking that up, Titan says, do you think there is a difference between D-Man and werewolves, and do D-Man get a bad rap from werewolves?
I really don't think there's a difference. I don't think that one or the other. The only thing that I could say is unless werewolves are just another term for skinwalkers and that they don't actually look as canid, or I don't know. I think that some of them could be, some of the werewolves, quote unquote werewolves, could be skinwalkers or some equivalent of it around the world, and then some of them could just be dogmen. I don't think that there's a third thing. So and I think the term werewolf has been used to describe both through the history. It's just like a generic term, kind of like cryptid. It's a generic term, but there's so many things that it could be. But I think that there's dogmen. There's also these old race of beings that are actually come up in history quite often, surprisingly, that are called the cynocephaly, and they were dog-headed warriors that fought in many wars, and they were considered to be fierce warriors. But Saint Christopher of the Catholic Church was often depicted as being the dog-headed saint, and he was believed to be a cynocephaly that had converted to Christianity and stuff. He was supposedly a fierce warrior that converted and changed his ways, but in several ancient paintings of him, or not several, but in a couple, I've seen him with both a human head and with a dog-like head. So here is the Beast of Seven Shoots, and this is the baboon snout kind of Bigfoot that people describe seeing. Now, according to what I understand of the background of this picture, and you can see several variations in different tinting and stuff, but from what I understand is it was seen to be carrying something white, and somebody apparently lost one of those big poodle dogs, those big white poodle dogs, and they think that it had got the poodle and was carrying it away. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I do.
Yep. So there's the more baboonish snout. And some people say that this is maybe a juvenile Genasqua, maybe not a full-grown, because the full-grown ones are, supposed to be so much more broad on the shoulders and big. They're very big. But I don't know. Is that indeed a separate kind of Bigfoot, or is it just a misidentified Dogman? And it's hard to know. I've never seen either up close. Oh, they're calling it a Gugwe here. I'm sorry. Gugwe is the term that I was thinking of, not Genasqua. Gugwe. That's the term that I was trying to remember for the really aggressive canid-snouted or baboon-snouted Bigfoot. So that's right. I got that all mixed up. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But I think it's horrible if it is carrying that dog, and I don't know that the dog is alive or dead, or even if it is a dog this thing's carrying, but the report was somebody had lost their dog and was looking for it and ended up seeing this walking through the bush or something to that effect. I'm probably really brutalizing that story now in my attempts to recollect exactly what all the details were, but there's, several different depictions of it in here, including a close-up of the face, and it really does look like a baboon face. You see that longer snout, whereas a Bigfoot is very much like a gorilla kind of snout, or a chimpanzee kind of face in many cases. But sometimes the Bigfoot is described as having a very human face. Like it looks like a man with hair all over its body. So very hard to understand for sure what's going on in these pictures and if this is indeed. But as far as I know, this picture has never been debunked. Like nobody's ever said, "Oh, that was just Phil with a costume on and he was carrying, a towel or something." You know what I mean?
So there could be a type of Sasquatch that looks a little more like Dogman.
Right. And it's basically this baboon-faced Bigfoot. So that's the one where this is where the bleed through happens and the confusion starts as well. Is that a Bigfoot or is that a Dogman, or is there a Bigfoot that kind of looks like a Dogman or what? And so, but then again, here's the problem with any of this stuff is that we just don't know. We just don't know. And many people will tell you they know. Well, this is what it is. And I've heard so many people out there be able to, just this is what's going on. And they'll sit and tell you from A to Z what's going on. But in truth, they don't know. They act like they know. And they'll sit and tell you that it's this and that and this and that. And, you'll get chided if you don't believe them, because apparently they come with all this moral authority on the issue or something. But truth be known, nobody knows. But it could be either or both or one or the other. I don't know. But
some people they'll have like one or two, maybe three experiences with a Bigfoot. But if you're going to tell me that you have 3 close encounters with a bear and you know everything about them all of a sudden, I won't believe you.
Right. Well, and that's the other part of it. It's like if you encounter a bear, you know what? You can go learn about bears, and you can go to zoos and study bears, and you can talk to biologists and field biologists that have cataloged bear behavior for decades and generations. But we don't have that same luxury with the these cryptids. Nobody's studying them. And I think Wes is the one that says it best. He goes, no one's got one in their garage they're studying. These things are just out there, and we're trying to figure out what the hell they are.
Of course, unless you subscribe to the fact that the government has Bigfoot in their labs, whatever. But that's all dependent on that.
Yeah, and that's there again. And I'm not. I can't say either. Yeah, that's could be true or not. I just have no opinion on that. I just don't know. I don't know what to think about things like that. I've heard a lot of those claims. I've heard about genetic experimenting and engineering and crossbreeding, and a lot of that comes up with the Dogmen stuff. These are experimental, and they were released or they escaped the labs and stuff. And I don't know. What the hell do I know? I'm just some idiot with a microphone. But I've heard all of these things, and I don't know what to do with them. But I always cringe when anybody ever comes with well, I'll tell you exactly what it is, and they'll sit down and give you a whole bunch of things they've heard, things that they've maybe thought, things they believe, and God bless them for trying to sort this stuff out. I'm not criticizing anybody for that, but I think it becomes a problem when people try to speak as if they are the authority, and nobody else can be right except them. And they have to think like them. If you don't think like them, then it gets to be a problem. So, but anyway.
And just to bring around full circle, that's the same with us. Like, we could be completely wrong about everything we believe on cryptids, Bigfoot, paranormal, and all that.
Absolutely.
So that is completely acknowledged that we could be 100% wrong.
And I say that all the time on the show. I don't know. Nobody knows. But here's what I think. And I've observed a lot of strange things in my life, and that's where either through hearing hundreds or thousands of stories that I've studied for the sake of this show, and seeing behaviors repeated and things coming up that seem to be patterns. I mean, I've pieced it over a wide selection of material, and that includes cryptids, that includes UFOs, that includes ghostly stuff. But still, I'm no expert. There's no known experts out there. But let's get back to this article so I can get through it. Great questions, though. I appreciate that. And any of you out there have questions, feel free to either call in or make it known in chat that you have a question by doing at Paranormal Portal or do at to Sheldon Thomas, and he'll ask the question. So we can chat a few different ways. Sorry, let me just get this pulled up. I still need it bigger, though. Jesus, that's small font. All right, there we go. That should be big enough. So this article says, for years, Bigfoot believers in Cache Valley say they have felt alone in their experiences, but the coronavirus pandemic and the Facebook group has brought together these people with unusual encounters. John Marshall, the author of Cache Valley Bigfoot and founder of the Facebook group of the same name, said he has received an increasing number of messages and posts to the group this fall. I guess this was this fall, yeah. They all have one big hairy thing in common, and it's not just Bigfoot. I know people were always up in the mountains at that time, Marshall said. I have lots of friends who were always camping or hiking around that time. So the more people out there, the more chance there will be sightings and experiences. The hotspots for these recent sightings are the White Pine and Tony Grove campsites, according to Marshall. The majority of those who have had encounters at these places have had very similar experiences. This certain one likes to throw rocks or other things, Marshall said. He'll never hit them, but he throws softball-sized or bigger rocks towards them. That's a little intimidating. Marshall's Facebook group, established in 2020, has helped witnesses of this Sasquatch feel less alone in their experiences. 90% of the people that have joined my page in the past 2 months have seen it, Marshall said. They have had an experience, or they have heard firsthand from someone who has had an experience. Utah State University wildlife specialist Nikki Frey said the spike in sightings has piqued her curiosity, though she said a bear is the likely cause for these encounters. I don't know that bears are chucking softball-sized rocks, though. Pretty sure they don't do that generally.
Yeah.
They are surprisingly humanistic, Frey said of the black bears that sometimes roam Utah's wilderness, especially when you combine their behavior with human imagination fueled by fear that is already suspicious that there might be a Bigfoot. It is very likely there is a bear den in these Bigfoot hotspots, Frey said. A bear's protective nature and their wish to stay hidden might be the cause of these encounters and sightings. Though this may be a likely answer, Frey is not dismissing the sightings. Maybe they're seeing something unique. One never knows, Frey said. Animals are adapting to humans in novel ways all the time. Frey likes that people are documenting new behavior for whatever it is they are encountering. The scientist in me wants footprints, scat, hair samples, though, Frey said, laughing, or a photo at the very least. Yeah, I think we all would. Well, I don't know about the scat part, but you can leave their poop in the woods as far as I'm concerned. But no,
we don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need that. Just give me footprints and pictures. That's good. I don't know. I think here's the thing that I always take issue with, and I think that's the grand easy answer. Let me just pull up a couple of pages here, and I'll show you why I think this. This is because bear is always the thing people throw at it, because when you're thinking of a large mammal, something covered in hair, the only culprit is a bear. So let's see. Okay, let me do this. And let me do this.
Yes.
I gotta type it out. All right.
Oh,
Okay, so here we go. Let me go to images on both of these. Hold on. Okay, perfect. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here are bear silhouettes. And obviously, let's see, are any of them going to be up on their back legs? There we go. Here's bear silhouettes right here. Okay, so this is bear silhouettes. Now, initially, the first thing you notice on any of these silhouettes, from 12 inches, 20 inches, 26 inches, whatever, I guess that's the size you can buy. But on any of these, the first things you see is really the fact that they have these pesky things called ears. And now, granted, if you're looking at something in the dark, it might be kind of hard to make out the complete silhouette. But a lot of people are seeing these things in decent lighting or being silhouetted by a moon or whatever, or saying they can see the color of their eyes in a lot of cases. So I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't be able to notice that it had these big tufts on top of their head that are ears. The other thing that is really apparent is in a bear's silhouette. I wish I could blow this up bigger. I don't know. Let me just see if I open it, a new link. If I get a, no, not really. No, that didn't really work. Never mind. I wanted to, the other thing you really notice though is that the head is truly about the same size as the body of the bear as it goes down. It tapers down. It doesn't taper out and then down. It's just a very distinct fall straight to the feet. The other thing you notice is the legs. Bear legs are stubby and stocky. And while bears can walk bipedally, at least for a while, some have adapted with paw injuries and stuff. They've adapted to be able to walk exclusively on two legs. There's a black bear over in New England or somewhere, or maybe up in Maine, that had something wrong with its paws in the front. So everywhere it goes, it walks bipedally. And even then, it's very, very distinctly a bear. Now, let's pull up the Sasquatch silhouettes. And granted, these aren't photographs, but there is not a lot. Oh, quit doing that. I hate when it does that by itself. Jesus, did it again. Okay, never mind. Let me just pull it over a little bit here. But when you look at this, there's very clearly long legs. There's very broad shoulders. I mean, if you're comparing this with any number of these, if you think this is a bear, if you're having trouble distinguishing between the two, I mean, if you have that much gap between the legs, then you can pretty safely assume this. And this is probably a silhouette of a grizzly, but the grizzly bear silhouette and the black bear silhouettes are very, very similar for the most part, other than size but they still have the same stocky little stumpy legs. They still have the slope right down from the neck all the way down the body. Whereas in any of these Bigfoot, you can definitely see very clearly make out shoulders. There's none of these tufts on top of their head for hair or for ears. And so I don't know. Granted, these are cartoony silhouettes, but still, even a man silhouette, you don't confuse a man and a bear usually. I mean, it's pretty quick. People can say that's a bear or that's a man. And I can't imagine it'd be much different for a Sasquatch, other than it would be a much bigger man at the very least. They would say, well, there's a huge man. So I don't know. But
that's why I mean, looking at it side by side here, when you're actually seeing it side by side, different silhouettes, that's why I always thought it was so dumb when people would say, are you sure it wasn't a bear? Are you sure? It's like, yeah, I know what a bear looks like. Like, look at these differences. I mean, it's obvious.
They're profound.
Even if they're standing straight up, like, there are distinct differences.
Right. It's like they're really, the only thing they have in common is that they are up on two legs. Everything after that falls away. There's not a lot of similarity. You got the extended snout on a bear if it's turning to the side. You don't have that on a Bigfoot. You got a conical head. In most cases, a lot of cases, there's the conical head. Although round-headed Bigfoot have been sighted many times. Then you have these ears, which are a big telltale sign of a bear. And it doesn't even have to be a silhouette. I mean, you could look at photos of the two, and it's really, I guess in some positions it may be hard to distinguish between a bear that's kind of arching its back on all four and maybe what might be a Bigfoot down on all fours starting to stand up or something. It might be hard in that situation because it's not a real defined silhouette anyway. But if they're both standing upright, it's really, I can't imagine somebody really struggling to differentiate this from this. That to me is just very, very bizarre. So,
and plus these are silhouettes, but
right.
The sightings that do happen in the daytime, I mean, there's no argument then.
Right. And, and you're talking something that's 7, 8, 9 feet tall. And, in most of the U.S., there is no bears that are anywhere near that height. They can, a black bear can get up to like 6 feet, 6.5 feet maybe. But after that, it falls away. There's no bears down in the lower 48 except for a very few places where there are grizzly bears. They can get huge, but, really, I don't see how people are confusing this. So that's one of my big stakes and one of my big points that I'd like to make, because biologists love to throw that. Well, you must have just misidentified a bear. Really?
How do you reckon I did that?
Now, granted, people are in a real adrenalized state. Fear can cause you to skew perception. There's certainly that possibility. And then there's maybe a person has confirmation bias where they want to see a Bigfoot, and so everything they see becomes a Bigfoot. I don't discount that, but I'm saying, in a lot of cases, most witnesses are not people expecting to see Bigfoot. They'd never even, in many cases, never even considered it was a real thing. And then they're confronted with it, but they still can differentiate that was not a bear. What I saw was not a bear. That comes up all the time. And, Claire, the famous Claire episode from Sasquatch Chronicles, I Shouldn't Be Alive. And she said, I know it was not a bear. I know what a bear looks like, and that was not it. So, I don't know. It's just very, very impressive. And it's also very condescending. As an excuse. It's like, well, you just misidentified a bear. It happens all the time. I don't think it happens all the time. So that's an article. Apparently these things are on the rise. Now I do want to speak to that a little bit because I think these sightings are on the rise in a lot of ways because people have more time on their hands. When you're sitting in a pandemic state where, you can't really go and do much. For many people couldn't go to work. So all of a sudden, they're spending a lot of time looking out the windows. Whereas before, so is there really more activity going on? Maybe not. Maybe not. I've often wondered that. Is there more of these things around, which would imply that maybe there's a boom in the breeding, and that can be any number of reasons. Maybe it's not such a struggle to survive. Because maybe these Bigfoots and other creatures are learning and adapting to live around us, a very wasteful societies. We throw away so much food and items that would feed armies of Bigfoot. Sure. Maybe not, they wouldn't be real healthy Bigfoot anymore, but they would be alive. But is that possible that because the resources are so prevalent around our cities and towns and stuff, they've learned to come in and take from us, from our waste, and as such, that's not such a struggle to survive. So they're breeding more actively and they're building up their numbers more actively. So maybe there are more of these things. However, maybe it's just the fact that people are just much more comfortable talking about it now than ever before. Like, if you said, I saw a Bigfoot in the 70s, 80s, you were looking for ridicule. You were looking for a lot of people to go, oh, did you? Okay. All right. Time for your meds. But nowadays, people, I think, are actually willing to entertain those things more so than ever before, and they're willing to have those discussions more so than ever before. So, are there more Bigfoot, or are there just more people talking about Bigfoot? Which is it? I don't know. Maybe it's both. I do think that they are coming in to live around us more readily now than ever before. I really do. but it's because we keep expanding. They have no other choice. It's either adapt or die, because while there's still oceans of wild preserves all over the place, that's, these are maybe beings that grew up in ancestral lands that had been that way for thousands of years, and then suddenly there's a condo and a Walmart on it. Well, this is what they know. This is the place that they grew, and maybe they don't leave those places. Maybe they stick around. So
it's at this point, I mean, as far as our trajectory and expanding wise into the forests and other territories like that, it's only a matter of time before Bigfoot becomes this myth, this ominous creature, to becoming known fact.
Sure, I would say that's probably likely, and
It's not something I look forward to, though.
Yeah, me either. And the reason is because we have a tendency to destroy what we love, and how many people are going to want them in zoos so they can go bring the kids to check it out, and would these things even be able to survive in such situations? And I don't think so. I don't think you could put a Bigfoot in a zoo any more than you could put a person in a zoo and put them in a little enclosure and expect them to be okay. So I don't know, but time will tell. Then also with the acknowledgement of it would come the increasing drive of people to go into these wild places, to go see one for themselves. It becomes the newest tourist attraction. Come see the Bigfoot. Come to the Olympic Peninsula. They're all over out here. We found out where they are. We got them tagged. We can follow them. You can buy, pay, whatever dollars and go on an expedition. We got radio collars on them. We can find them.
There'd be quite a bit of pissed off Bigfoot.
Really? I think you're right.
Yeah.
Either that or it would just shatter them. It would just shatter their spirit. All right. That was the first thing that I wanted to read to you tonight. I wanted to get to some of these. This one first. We're going to talk about some Dogman stuff. Again, special thanks to Lon Strickler and phantomsandmonsters.com. He's given us the green light to talk about articles on his phantomsandmonsters.com, and it's a fantastic site. They've got a lot of active investigations going on here, so definitely check out supports phantomsandmonsters.com. Lon's a great guy, and they're doing some really cool things over there. So let's check out the ones that I got pulled up. I don't know, we have to pull up a few more of other things here. We'll see how the time goes. But what about Nephilim? Daniel, I don't know what to think about that. That's one of those areas where a lot of people speak with authority that Bigfoot is the Nephilim, or they are the result of the immoral mating between the angels and the women. And again, it's highly subjective. A lot of people speak of those things as if that's what they are. That's what they know they are. Could they be right? Hell, I don't know. It's possible. If you are a person of faith and you believe the stories that are presented in the Bible as fact, then maybe that does explain them. I don't know. It seems to me that whatever these things are, they're a much older example than we are. I think that we are the newer species on this planet. I don't think that they came after us. I think that they probably came before us by quite a long shot. And so wherever we came from, if it was, there's a lot of theories about that too. If you listen to the stories of the Anunnaki, then we are potentially a machined or made race that was developed by the Anunnaki to potentially mine their gold for them. And how we were made is they took local animals from here, combined it with their DNA, and made us. That's one take of it. The other take is we're a created race from a divine source. So were we presented here, and brought here by our divine creator and brought to this land, the garden, as it were, or some remnant of what was once the garden, but I don't know. I think that a lot of the quest to find how people came from monkeys. I think that these proto-humans that are found and by archaeologists and such are not necessarily our ancestors. I think they could be their ancestors. They could be their ancestors from Bigfoot. Like maybe the genetic line makes sense then. I don't know. It's just anybody's guess. It's hard for me to speak too much on that kind of stuff because there's a lot of thoughts out there, and I can't say anybody's right or anybody's wrong. It's just you kind of gotta reconcile that with what you believe. What is it that makes sense to you? And as Wes always says, there's no wrong answers. So it's possible.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Rachel says, will there ever be a meeting of the minds between them and us? Like one that's chosen as a Bigfoot ambassador to speak for them?
Yeah, so here's the weird part, Rachel. This is where it gets really kind of deep. There's apparently some First Nations tribes have a belief that they stay hidden because they have to. And they won't actually come out of hiding. And some religious groups apparently have this view as well. There's many conglomerations, but an amalgam of all these ideas is that they can't reveal themselves to us because it's not time to yet. And so is there going to be some point in the future where they reveal themselves openly to us and we communicate and whatever? Maybe they, some people believe they'll stand by our side in the last days fighting the evil, but they can't do that yet. They're not supposed to. That they will be the ones to fight with us against the giants and the abominations. Again, who knows? This is all fantastically wild ideas that I don't know if there's anyone alive that's capable of saying this, but I do think they're intelligent. I think that they're intelligent in our ballpark of intelligence, and maybe, much more than us in many ways, just because they're living in balance, they're living in perfect harmony with their surroundings. That doesn't mean that I think that they're necessarily these way ascended, evolved beings that are teaching us something, but then again, maybe everything teaches us something. I don't know. It's just such a conundrum of ideas and thoughts. It's hard. It's hard to reconcile any of it for me. I hear all these things. I just don't know what to do with them all, But again, I can't say none of them are real.
True. Daniel says, the real truth is that humans have no relation to apes. Now, from what I understand, we do have, you might have to help me out, but we have chromosomes similar to apes that say that we're at least distant relatives, right?
Well, we have I think it's with chimpanzees, we have a 97% of shared genetic codes. Like 97% of our genetics are shared with chimpanzees. And, I don't know. That seems like we're probably from some shared union at some point. I don't know, but are we apes? Well, yeah, we are by definition. We are a primate. Human beings are a form of primate. So, but we obviously don't identify ourselves as apes or great apes or whatever. But biologically speaking, we are considered primates. So I don't know. And you may be right. But again, none of us can speak with absolute authority, because if such things are to be known, then maybe the divine is the only one that has these answers. And it's out of my pay grade to say for sure.
Yeah.
But I welcome all ideas to the discussion. That's the beauty of the show, is that every one of you guys is capable of saying, well, this is what I believe. And I would love to hear it. I don't pretend to know. I just don't know. Let's see, but we are close to pigs. We use their heart valves in our hearts. Yeah, that's true, Maggie. And apparently, one other thing that's come out of using pigs is apparently the bladder lattice. If they scrape it down to the actual lattice of the pig's bladder, can be used to seed stem cells and heal some incredible injuries on our bodies, like that lattice work from the pig bladder. When it's stripped down all the way down to its, I don't know if it's, what would it be? Some small, like mesh that remains, that they can put that on a very damaged part of a human body, seed it with stem cells, and it will heal apparently perfectly, like it was never there. I think that's exciting stuff. But we have genetic similarities with everything on this planet, with insects, for God's sakes. But
a banana.
With a banana?
That we do, yeah.
Yeah. That just saying that we're 97% of like chimpanzees is, it sounds impressive, but we have a high, percentage of similarities with apparently bananas now too. I didn't know that.
I'm going to confirm that, just so I'm not, if I'm misremembering, I'm going to confirm that.
Sure. Okay. Do you want to check that out, please? I scratched my butt just like a monkey. Me too, Paradox. That's how I get moving. That's how it works. That's why God invented alcohol, Elaine.
Oh, yeah, 50% to bananas.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I got a little more than that because I had a banana earlier.
Oh,
I added some more genetic material. Yeah. I didn't hear about the banana one either. So Maggie said she heard about the banana one too. So,
okay.
Well, there it is. That's just part of the journey. So let's read this report from phantomsandmonsters.com. Incident on site reports, Pennsylvania lichen investigations. Now that's one thing I love is they have a whole list of reports just from Pennsylvania. And we've been going through a few of these lately, but the beauty of Phantoms and Monsters is there's many, many regions represented in their reporting system. So these are just some of the Pennsylvania ones. Now, I don't know what's going on in Pennsylvania. It's kind of like Ohio. Ohio has everything, but apparently Pennsylvania's got plenty too going on over there. UFOs, lots of Bigfoot reports, lots of Dogman reports. They got a bit of everything over there. It says the Pennsylvania Lichen Investigations team was in the field this past weekend. The following reports with a link to the original account are being offered. Let's see. Maybe this one won't be. I guess we'll just read it. All right. I'll read it, but it's written like a report. And this is Wolfman and Bigfoot encounters on Center County property. Let me just open this up and see if we can get the actual narrative rather than a report. Yeah, here it goes. This is, I received the following account on Saturday. It seems to be an interesting location. And this is from 2016 again, folks. So this is way from the archives. I live in Clarence, Pennsylvania with my husband, my grandmother, and my 3 kids. My son is 14 and has had 2 sightings of what he describes as a wolfman type creature in our front yard on 2 separate occasions. He's the only one who's seen this creature. The first sighting was on September 27th, 2015, when there was a full moon. It was around 7:30 a.m. and he had just woke up, and he got up and looked out his bedroom window. It was damp on his bedroom window because of the dew, and he could see 2 paw prints on his window. He said it looked just like a dog's print, but a lot bigger. He could also see where the animal had placed its snout up against his window because you could see drip marks from its snout running down the window, as if it were standing there looking in with its face pressed up against the window, looking in. As he's looking out the window, he sees a blur of movement. It was gray and white in color. The creature had a wolf-shaped head and legs that looked like a dog's legs. The creature jumped over our Mahindra farm tractor and turned at the same time in midair and then ran or flew into the woods. He said he could see a print on the dirt in front of his window. It was just one single print. He took my husband out to show him the print, but when they got out there, the print was mysteriously gone. I don't know how that could happen. The second sighting he had was on February 22nd, 2016, during a full moon as well. In the middle of the night, he heard growling noises outside of his bedroom window near our woodpile in the driveway. He said it growled on and off for about 15 minutes or so. He finally got up the nerve to look out his window, and he saw the creature standing in our front yard by our strawberry patch, and he said it was standing upright and looking up into the woods. It had the same type of body as the first creature. He couldn't really see what color this creature was. He said they stood between 7 and 8 feet tall. He describes the creature as being completely covered in fur, and the first creature was white and gray in color. The second creature, he really couldn't tell what color it was because it was just too dark. He said the first creature had a wolf-like face with pointed ears and a long snout. The second creature, he never got to see its face because it kept its back to him the whole time. He said they had long arms and they were muscular. Its back legs looked very muscular as well. He said he couldn't really see any skin at all. The creatures were completely covered in fur. My son said that he wasn't scared the first time he saw it, but the second time he saw the creature, he was really scared. He says the second creature quit growling once he opened his curtain and looked out the window, as if the creature knew he was watching it. It never turned around to look at him, though. My son and grandmother have also seen Bigfoot in our woods. He's seen it once about 3 to 4 years ago. My grandmother has also seen it once 3 to 4 years ago. Both sightings were during the day. My son said he saw it, and it was over by our burn pit walking up into the woods. He estimated its height to be around 7 to 8 feet tall. My grandmother saw it up in the woods sitting on a tree stump. It was looking over at my dad's house. My dad was outside working in his yard making noise. He said it sat there for a good 10 minutes or so until my dad quit making noise. She said it then got up and slowly walked into an old mine shaft up there in the woods. She estimates the height to be about 9 feet tall. The creature was very muscular and had very broad shoulders. She said it had skin on the face that she could see. The rest of the body was completely covered in greenish-colored hair, like mossy-colored. It had a light brown-colored face, and she said it had a human-like face. She's pretty sure it was a male. She could not see breasts, and she said it was very intently watching what my dad was doing next door at his property. She said she was not afraid of it. She says she feels it was interested in what my dad was doing. Years and years ago, my grandmother and great-grandmother lived on this property. It says my other grandmother and great-grandmother lived on this property in an old farmhouse, and they had both passed on now. They both said they had seen Bigfoot many times up here in these woods. My grandmother used to leave eggs out for it, and it would leave her apples and berries in return. She even invited it into the house to have coffee, LOL. It would also leave her different leaves as well. Thanks for your time. Well, that sounds like a habituation that went right. It wasn't just taking, it was actually leaving things as well. And sometimes that's really, really kind of cool. And there again, that's what implies intelligence, is that if they consider it like a trade. Now, First Nations, the many First Nations cultures have histories of apparently trading with these things and interacting with them at least somewhat regularly. And they were regarded in many cases, not exclusively, because some people, some First Nations stories are very horrible in their history with what we understand to be Bigfoot, and that it was very warlike in a lot of cases. But for the most part, a lot of the First Nations would give them a very wide berth, leave them to their areas, and the First Nations people would stay to their areas, and they would live in a balance of sorts. But I think the gifting thing is really kind of fun. It's a neat idea, but again, it would be something that if you are out there thinking, hey, maybe I'll leave things out like food items, just again, be very careful, because we don't know anything about these things. So we don't know what is good for them, what is bad for them. We don't know about their physiology, their digestion, and anything that we eat in the form of our new processed complex foods are probably not good for these things at all. So if you're going to leave anything out, just be fruit, things that are very simple, vegetables, things like that. I wouldn't leave out Snickers bars or anything like that, because God, it could destroy their teeth and stuff like that over time. Some people talk about, I leave out cake. It's like, oh, really? No. Did you throw out a toothbrush then at the same time? Make sure you get floss and stuff. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Leaving out cake.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because so imagine this. And this is something that Bear brought up on one of his visits. He's like, we don't know anything about them. What if they have a peanut allergy or something? We don't know. They don't know. They don't run into peanuts. But suddenly, you could be killing them by leaving out these food gifts, because they think that they're food. They eat them. What if they do have allergic reactions to a lot of our complex processed foods that they just can't break it down and it would become toxic to them. Then there's tooth decay. Then there's the possibility of developing a diabetic reaction and so many other things that, it's all done with the best of intentions, but you could be hurting them, So,
Yeah, realistically, like humans are the only things that should be eating human food.
well, we shouldn't even be eating it either.
We should really, yeah. I mean, realistically, we shouldn't even be eating it. Like
Right.
it's that bad for you, especially sugar. Sugar's in everything.
It is. It's
sure. Hard to. I'm on a sugarless diet, and it's hard to find stuff without sugar. It really is.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't imagine. But we are very dependent on sugar in our modern diets for sure. And a lot of people report that, once they go on a sugar cleanse, they kind of go through a junkie phase though, like this jonesing for something sweet, and they're getting shaky and stuff. So
yeah, it's legitimately horrible.
Did you go through that? Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It literally felt like I was having withdrawals on a drug addiction. Like it was that I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Because it's sugars and everything. Like we all have it. But another thing to note is some reading I did was that sugar activates the same parts of your brain that cocaine does. Like as far as how it interacts with your brain chemistry, it does the same thing.
Wow. Yeah.
In I mean, other than the dopamine, whatnot.
Sure.
But,
Yep. Other than
you
said dopamine. Sorry.
Dopamine, yes.
I'm just kidding. Apology to everyone, but I have to go to bed now because I have to work tomorrow. I need my rest. Good night, everyone. God bless you tonight. God bless you too, Daniel. Thank you so much for coming in. I hope you continue to come back, brother. It's great. We do live shows every Wednesday through Sunday, so if you have the time, we'd love to see you back. Absolutely. Very cool. Yeah, I think it's very. Now you can also gift with things like marbles or things like that. Crystals, marbles, things that aren't going to destroy their bodies.
Yeah.
So there's always that.
Wasn't
idea.
Was it Bobo or Bear who would gift? Said he would gift the Bigfoot near his house or cabin or something like that.
Well, it must have been Bobo because I don't think Bear ever really did the gifting thing. I don't think, but
maybe it was Bobo. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that Bobo's been at it for a long time, and he's a great guy. If you haven't heard that interview, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. And you can find links to it on the you can find the Pieces episodes that show the Bobo interview, and in the description you'll see the full length interview linked from the other channel. But if you wouldn't mind, we'd really appreciate it if you guys would go and subscribe to the Pieces episode. Let me just put the link in the chat if you wouldn't so mind. It's another channel that we've started here on the Paranormal Portal, and it's the purpose of which is to take the 2-hour episodes and create smaller 10-minute, 15-minute videos based on those longer interviews so that people can see what's going on the Paranormal Portal, because not everybody has 2 hours to invest in a full show, or at least they're not sure if they want to invest that much time. So these Pieces episodes just allow them to have a little peek into what's going on this channel. So that's the Pieces channel. I just linked it in chat. If you go over there and subscribe, it would mean a bunch to us. We're trying to get it
Please
to build.
do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just my personal take. What is your take? I believe Dogman, Wolfman, Werewolf, just different names for the same thing. When the same thing appears on different continents, then each region come up with their own name. Oh, sure. I agree with that too. I think that there is sometimes a discrepancy between what is the Dogman and what is like a skinwalker. Now there's, I think that perhaps some of the werewolf cultural legends have to do with, some people in certain tribes or whatever, clans that had that ability to shape shift as well, much like the skinwalkers of the Navajo and other areas. And so I think that people see something like a canine walking upright, and they think, oh, werewolf, oh, skinwalker. No, they don't usually think skinwalker. Like a lot of people go to Dogman, werewolf, something of that nature. So I think that maybe some of these Dogman witnesses are actually coming face to face with skinwalkers, except they just don't understand that's what they're seeing. It could very well be. But no, I agree.
Yeah.
You're right, because the same is true, of course, for Bigfoot. Around the world, there's hundreds of names for the Bigfoot. I think First Nations alone have, at least a couple hundred names right here in North America. So then you go around the world, the Yowie, the Erin, the Alma, the Woodwose, Grogok, Greyman. There's so many names, Wildman, that different regions had for these huge ape-like creatures, bipedal ape creatures, or look like the Bigfoots. And so I think they probably are. Again, maybe there's a few different things that make up any of these, but I do think there's a biodiversity in all of nature. I think that some of them may look more human, some of them may look more ape-like. It doesn't mean they're a different thing. It just maybe it means that was that was the part of the family tree that they took after in that generation or whatever. So just some thoughts. I don't know.
Android Purity says, Scholars History Channel website says werewolf myth is so old they don't know exactly where it originated, but they suspect it's from Gilgamesh time period.
Wow, well, there you go. Yeah, that's quite old. So is that the same thing that became skinwalkers here in the Americas? Or existed in the Americas at the same time. Maybe there is some kind of type of peoples that can shapeshift and change. I don't know. It seems really hard for my Western sensibilities to grab onto, but then again, I can't deny that every story I've heard, I can't believe that all of them are fake. I can't. Not all of them. Are some of them? Sure. That's always a strong possibility that any of this stuff that we cover on the show could be a bunch of hokey baloney crap, but every one of them, everything, that's just not possible. And I know that my own experiences are real. The weird things that I've seen, I know those are real because I lived them. So I can already say that I've experienced things that I can't possibly hope to explain away or debunk, that they are just these phenomenal experiences that punctuate my life. And so I have to give that same credibility to every other person out there that says they've seen weird things, and to say that, that they're all wrong. Well, that doesn't seem possible to me. That doesn't seem plausible, but it's been a great night of discussion. And I love that part of the show most of all, when we talk, when we throw around ideas and share thoughts and ideas and possibilities, because, again, every idea is just as valid as the next. And I don't come at this with some kind of implied authority. Just because I have a show doesn't mean I'm right. I just have ideas, and I love to hear your ideas too. That's the beauty of the show, and that's the beauty of the dialogue that we have here on this show. So that's why I love the phone calls, but by all means, keep talking and chat too. That's wonderful. I love to hear what you guys are coming from, because you guys have taught me a bunch about this stuff through the years of doing the show, just things you guys have observed, things that you've thought. I've gone, yeah, I think you're right, and I've applied it to my own. So you guys teach me as much as I teach you, if I teach you anything.
I think that's what's important about these communities, is we all come together and bring their different perspectives, and maybe we can, kind of connect the dots, so to speak, on some issues.
Absolutely, folks. So I think, we didn't get through a lot of stories, but we had some great discussion, and I would always prefer that anyway. That to me is a much better show. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. We do have to get to the trail cam terrors, and before we wrap up the show. So how about we check that out now?
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's do it. All right, folks, welcome to the Trail Cam Terrors. This is our segment of the show where we highlight some kind of paranormal activity or otherworldly activity captured on camera, pictures, tape, closed circuit TV, trail cams, whatever have you. And again, last night we had a call from from tonight's feature on this, and it's, let me get the name of the channel. It's from Thomas K. And he called in and shared the dialogue of what he experienced here, but we're going to show it on, I'm going to have to mute it because he's actually playing music, and I don't want a copyright strike, so I can't play the audio of this. But essentially, he's at work. He did security work at like a car lot, and he saw a UFO and then later saw the orb. Well, he didn't get the main UFO recorded, or this was another night, the next night that this orb thing showed up, or a week later or something. Listen to last night's show and you'll get the dialogue. But he did say that we can share this on the show and provided the link, and we're going to do that tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, from listener Thomas comes this experience he had where he filmed an orb going through the parking lot. And so I did watch this before, and it's a hell of a video. So he did a wonderful job capturing this, and well done. This is the kind of stuff you don't see much. So let's check it out. Here you go. It should be full screen for you guys, and I'm going to push play. And again, there's no audio, but there's the orb. Look at that. Not a blinking light on it. Now, we're going to have to continue to watch this because, you know, some people will go, what about a Chinese lantern? Well, is it impossible? No, but I think as we watch, it's going to become more apparent why it's not that. This is not a lens flare. This stuff around here that's floating around, this is lens flare, there's a lens flare from these lights. This is not a lens flare. These are moving with the camera movement, which is perfect because that demonstrates what lens flares do. As you move the camera, they move to the position just by simple refraction from the lens onto the sensor. But this is staying right there. It's moving around a little bit. There it was. That was it. Let's do it again. Don't see any wind. I want to go back to where it started here because the trees are very steady. So you will see this thing is moving, but if you look, there doesn't appear to be any wind in the bit of material we have. These trees are very steady, so it seems like a very still night. But this clearly moves from there over to here and then kind of goes up. So let's watch it again, and you can see that. Yeah, it's clearly got a pretty good pace to it. So if it was a Chinese lantern, it wouldn't be probably moving like that anyway, or it would just continue on a specific trajectory. You can see that now, according to where this pole is over here, it seems to have stopped. And that, again, doesn't rationalize correctly with it is moving now a little bit, then it stopped again. Yeah, it's in pretty solid position right here. Maybe a small shift. That's a great capture. Very cool. Now it doesn't have.
So is that sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it doesn't have the navigational lights on that we would expect on normal aircraft. What were you going to say?
So is that about as tall, if not a little more, to those light poles, or is it way high in the sky? I'm just trying to picture it.
I'm trying to remember what he said, but I think he thought that this orb wasn't much higher than those poles, so it's probably around the 30-foot range, maybe a little more. I forget how big he thought it was. Yeah, but it was a great discussion, and we can refer to that last night's show when he called in. That is really cool.
Wow.
It does have motion, then stop, then motion, then stop. So it doesn't behave as if it's just a Chinese lantern caught in a gentle breeze that would just carry it through the frame.
Yeah, the stopping part. Yeah, it kind of debunks that already.
Yeah, and there again, the leaves are very still. There's no breeze moving those leaves at all. So that's very, very cool. And special thank you again to Thomas for sharing that with us here on the show. We really appreciate that. That is awesome. So that has been the Trail Cam Terrors. All right, folks, and this has been your journey through the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. What is that? Android says, yeah, he said it was around 26 feet up in the air, not far above the light poles. Yeah, that's what I remember. I don't remember how big he thought it was. Do you remember, Android? Was it like a basketball size he figured or something like that? I don't recall exactly what size he thought it was, but
It's a pretty big orb, though.
it is.
Even for that high in the air, yeah.
Right. Yep. Thank you, Maggie. We appreciate you being here. Yeah. If anybody remembers the size that he thought that was, that would be awesome. But I don't remember for sure. But anyway, great captures, great discussion. The fact that he was there waiting on it lends validity to his first story. Yeah, it does. You're right, Titan. That's a good point. Thank you, Asset. Great to see you again. Thank you all for being here, of course, tonight as we go through the portal. Tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, it'll just be you and me. So I hope you guys are going to tune in and have fun with me on our Friday night show. Don won't be able to make it for the weekend. He's got too much things going on and won't be available. And Sheldon will be joining me on Saturday night. Right, Sheldon?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more Portal coming up in the next couple of nights. So I hope you guys will be a part of it. Join me and we'll get into more of this amazing thrill ride that we call the Paranormal Portal. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up our show for tonight. Sheldon, anything in closing?
Absolutely. Before you leave, if you guys want... Oh, wait.
What?
We're at 35 views, 35 likes. Nice. I appreciate that. Other than that, if you guys want to join our Discord channel, I'm going to put a link in the chat. We have lots of great links on there. Android is busy at work, and Fourth Color is always busy at work showing us all these interesting links to stories, evidence, and all that. Great discussions on there if you want to join us. The link is in the chat.
Very good. All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap up our journey tonight. So thank you all for being here. Well, it looks like we got up to about 40 during the show tonight. Pretty quiet night. That's a little bit of a surprise. But anyway, it happens. But we'll be back tomorrow night, so I hope you guys will join me then right here on the Paranormal Portal. Keep spreading the word. Keep letting people know what we're doing here. Share these streams. It would help out a ton. We just really want this to grow. And the more that it grows, the more we'll be able to bring you guys in forms of entertainment and such. So definitely help us. We appreciate all that you've done so far. We are where we are because of your guys' love. So thank you very much. Remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.
Good night.